I don't want your service. I don't want those messages again. I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend. You made me shiver, you made me calm, you made me young when you donned your swollen arms around a community of tiny beats of pain and beauty. I'll take Queen Anne's lace. I'll take chicory full in the face, and I'll call you all my friends.
Hi, welcome to the Making Useless Things podcast. I'm Gracie, and this is a little show where I talk about the things that I have made or I currently am making. This is episode 5, and it's been a little while since I sat down to talk. So hopefully we can keep this pretty compact and I don't get super long-winded on different topics, but my summer's been pretty jam-packed, full of stuff happening, so I might share a little bit of that and what's been going on. But without further ado, let's get into it. So my knitting has really kind of taken off. I finally finished some bigger projects because I was working on 2 different shawls, and shawls always start out so quick and easy, and then once they get to a certain size, it's just the long haul of getting to the end and casting off. So I finally cast off both of them, and each of them I started in, I think, February for the one, and then maybe end of February, early March for the other one, which I cast off. I was actually in the process of casting it off in the last episode, but I'll show you the whole finished one today. I have also, since the last episode, done some sewing. I wouldn't say like a ton, but my sewing checklist has gotten a lot smaller, and I think I really only have one other project, and then I'll probably be taking a longer break from sewing in the future. Just I'm kind of tired out of it, and I don't really have any need for anything right now. Like, I don't need a dress, I don't need any clothing, so I'm pretty full up, which is fine by me. So I'd like to dedicate some more of my time back to painting because I haven't done any artwork in quite a while. So it's gonna get hot in this room really fast. My apartment's air conditioning is pretty small and pretty sad, so as soon as the sun starts hitting, it gets hot. So I have had my coffee, I'm ready to go. Had my breakfast. I guess I'll update you a little bit on what's been going on since the last episode. I meant to get this down here with me. I shared a little bit about, I don't know how much about my life. I can't really remember what I updated you guys on. I think it was just work and being busy. But since the last episode, I did go on a trip to Arizona, which was fantastic. It was only 5 days, but we climbed Humphreys Peak, and we also hiked down into the Grand Canyon and spent the night and then hiked out the next day. So it was very short and intense, but it was like life-changing, which is pretty crazy to say, because most people are just like, oh, it's just, the hike, it was beautiful, it was gorgeous, all that stuff. But for me, I think it really kind of changed my life in a certain way. So that was really fantastic. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to edit this whole podcast together. I might start showing some intermittent footage here and there, or you might be able to see some of it at the beginning of the episode or at the end of the episode. So footage from my trip and footage of things that I've been doing throughout the summer. I also just got back yesterday from a trip home to my hometown to see my family because my sister got married, which congratulations. I'm so excited. I'm so happy for them. I cried so much during the wedding, which I think is just, you need to let it out sometimes. So that was just like the best, and it was beautiful, and I got the opportunity to do like the flowers for her hair, and that was really fun because my current job is I'm learning floristry, and I'm really fascinated by it, and I think it's a really, really like fun and interesting job. But I have a lot yet to learn. I've only been doing it for like 3 or 4 months. So, but I'm very excited for this coming year and the next year, and definitely getting to do flowers for somebody I really love and care about. I was like, this is great, and I want to do this all the time. And I got to pick flowers from my parents' yard, which was like so cool. My dad really cares for his yard, and he has all these woods, and so it was very meaningful for him, and it was very meaningful for my sister, so that we got to incorporate that into the wedding. It was very meaningful for me to get to work with it because it was all this stuff that I grew up with, and plants that I grew up seeing my whole life, and then getting to like use them. So that was a very unique opportunity. So, like I said, I'm already long-winded. I've already talked about stuff that doesn't even matter. Without further ado, let's talk about projects that I have finished. So I will start with the shawl that I shared last episode. I was in the midst of casting it off, and now it has been cast off for well over a month, I believe now. And this is the Night Shift Shawl by Andrea Mowry, and it's far too big to really show on the screen, so I'm just gonna, turn it around in different angles. So this is a mosaic stitch pattern that you do. It's very simple. It's all slip stitches. I believe the pattern calls for 6 colors, and I opted for only 3. And I ended up using a bulky weight yarn that is a brand from Michaels. I'm really sorry. I do not have the labels anymore, so I don't know what type of yarn it is. It's acrylic, obviously, but the name, I know it was the brand Loops and Threads, which is Michaels' like yarn brand. So I don't know what the colorways are. And I don't know like the style name of this yarn, so I do apologize, but I'm sure you'll be able to see it. Like if you look at the yarn at Michaels, you'll be able to tell which one it is, hopefully. Anyways, this is very big and lovely. It is not really a shawl. Having opted for the bulky yarn, I upped my needle size, and it is much more of a odd shaped blanket, which is going to be really nice because it's a good accent, a little accent decor. And in the winter, it will be like nice to like wake up and get my coffee and be wrapped up in this and sit on the couch. And I don't really have to, worry about wearing it outside. The cats absolutely love it. They've dominated it as their own, which is wonderful because it's acrylic. So I can wash this as many times as I want, and I don't have to care about it. So I'm definitely leaning it into the pile of Afghan rather than a shawl. I just got cat hair on my face from it because I'm wearing chapstick and it's all stuck to me. So, like I said, the cats, they love it. So that's that. And I enjoyed that project. Although, like I said, once it gets to a certain size, you're just like, knitting and knitting and knitting. So it was a huge relief to cast that one off. Next, finished object. Can you guys guess what it is? Probably not, because you are probably watching me for the first time in your entire life. But it is the Sun Summoner shawl. This was a project, again, that I started back in February. And I originally just cast on this yarn by Cornbread and Honey. And this is called Tiny Sparkles. It's just yellow. It has some, I think it's called stellalina or something, that little fiber that makes it sparkly. And I just kind of made up my own pattern as I went along. I found some stitch patterns from one of my books. My favorite books over here by Barbara G. Walker. A Treasury of Knitting Patterns. And she has about 4 or 5 of them. I only own the first 3. So I was just kind of went triangle shawl style, went to town, just did seed stitch here, and then quickly realized that I wasn't really going to have enough yarn to make it an adequate size, because I only had the one skein. So I started incorporating this darker yarn by Madeline Tosh, which is actually the upside down from their Stranger Things colorway. And I didn't really have a super great plan for the color work. I sort of just went in on it. I do like how it turned out. My only mistake was on the reverse side, where you can see my color work. I had some floats here across this lace pattern that were far too tight because I didn't wrap the yarn. So there was no stretch and no give, so it was buckling when I was trying to block it. So I had to actually snip them and try to weave those teeny tiny little ends in. So I regret that. But I kind of knew and was expecting that way back when I was doing the color work. I was expecting to have to fix some of my problems because I was being lazy. I was a lazy knitter when I could have just taken, a little bit more time to make a better product, but it's over, it's done, it's for me, I'm gonna wear it. Nobody else. And then the rest of the pattern down here is just a simple eyelet stitch. And then I cast off with this picot edge sort of thing. And that was a stitch from the Japanese Stitch Dictionary. I think it has a different name. My apologies. I bought this in Japanese because I was living in Japan at the time. So when I first saw it, I was like, well, it's incredible. I'm going to buy it and I'm just going to deal with it. I was like, there's pictures, they're all charted. I can figure this out. If I need a stitch from it, I will spend the time to figure it out. And probably within a week or 2 after I purchased the book, my friend was like, oh, they just released that in English on Amazon. So, someday when I have spare cash, I'll probably buy the English copy as well, so I can make sure I'm doing these stitches properly, because the ones that I have tried to decipher, some of them are too complex, or they have stitches that I don't know or I don't understand. So that's that. But for this, it worked really well. I wanted a pointed edge. I might have shared before, the inspiration behind this shawl was, I can put it on, I like wearing it like this. The inspiration behind it is very small. Was I was reading the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I believe it's Leigh Bardugo. I was getting her mixed up with another author. And the main character in it, goodness, I can't remember her name. She was often called the Sun Summoner because she could summon light, and it's like a fantasy series. Don't worry about it. Those of you who know the series will be like, and those of you who don't will be like, what? So she could summon light, and then her enemy or her counterpart in the series is called the Darkling, and he would summon darkness. And so that this kind of was representing their constant battle. So I didn't really like the book series, I'm just going to state that, but I really enjoyed the concept of this light and darkness, and I enjoyed their I guess tete-a-tete, maybe their enemy, and you know how regardless of his level of evil and her level of good, they would constantly like relate and care for each other, which was very interesting dynamic. But in the end, they were still enemies. Like, there wasn't like, oh, we're falling madly in love or anything. So keeping that balance was interesting that author carried that through that book series. Sorry, it's too hot to wear anything. So, other finished objects is sewing. My sewing projects that I have made. What I recently finished is my skirt. This wasn't recent, this was like over a month ago that I finished it, and this is just a vintage 1980s skirt pattern that I followed, and it fits pretty well, considering I found out that they sold the sizes, like they sold the patterns, the patterns that you purchase are sold by size. So there's like the smaller sizes, and that's like size 2 to like, or like 8 to 14 or something. I don't know, the sizes in the 80s were weird and different. And then there's a pack that'll be the larger sizes, so that'll be like 16 and up. I think 16 is a size. So my measurements, which I didn't realize until after I bought the pattern and I took it home and then I measured myself, I am between the 14 and the 16, so I like just squeeze into this. Luckily this is like my natural waistline, so as long as I don't eat too many potatoes, or bread, which is my favorite, so don't judge me. I like my carbs, and I will continue to eat them. I'm okay, and I can like fit into this comfortably, and still like tuck a shirt in and everything. Which is nice because I have always had a problem with like any skirts that go to my natural waistline always have like a gap in them, and I either have to pin it or, you know, obviously they're too small and then I can't wear them at all. So I hate having that problem where they start slipping down your hips and then they hit me at a weird angle and it looks very unflattering. So it is nice to have something that's just snug enough that it's going to sit there all the time and it cannot go past my hips. So I do like that. And altogether, it's been wonderful. I wore it to my sister's wedding. I wore it for an event at work. So, and I think it's adorable. I think it's cute. It's just a nice stripy linen that I got from Joann Fabrics. And it's a pretty sturdy fabric, which I really enjoy. So I don't think I have too much more to say about that. Since it's been a while since I sewn it, I don't really remember much other than the sizing issue, but I didn't really have too many issues as far as making it. I guess the one thing I could say are the buttonholes, because I think I don't have the correct foot to do buttonholes on my machine, so I just zigzag stitched them. I can show you. I just did a zigzag stitch. Where's my It's not going to focus because I don't have an actual camera. I use my phone. Anyway, I just did a zigzag stitch around the marking and then I cut it open. And so there is some fraying. It's not like perfectly clean buttonhole, but it adds character and it's cute and I don't care. So it's been a very successful skirt to have. So, and then also for my wedding, or for my sister's wedding, I was like, I don't really have a shirt to wear with that skirt. So I was like, I'll just make something. because I had this yellow fabric sitting around. And I knew it was going to be hot, so I was like, oh, I'll just whip up a little tank top. Which I really like, and I just grabbed a tank top that I liked from my drawer, and I made a pattern really fast, and I threw it together, and the stitching on it is terrible. So, because sometimes my machine works really well, and sometimes it doesn't. You know, the inside has some fraying. It's not the perfect piece or the perfect pattern, but it looked really good with the skirt. And this fabric, even though it's just like quilting cotton, is actually kind of nice for this shirt. I wasn't expecting that. It doesn't like wrinkle as easily as I thought it would. So I just washed it, so it's pretty nice. And so the straps are just crossed back, and it looks cute. But I ended up not wearing it. I ended up wearing a knitted top that I have for the wedding, and it just looked a little bit nicer. But I think I am going to end up wearing this throughout the rest of the summer, despite my mother. My mom was just like, just don't think it's your color, which it really isn't, because whatever skin tone I have, this kind of yellow just makes me look kind of weird. But I made it. I'll probably wear it. I don't usually care. I just knew I was going to have pictures taken of me at the wedding, and so I wanted to look as nice as I could. Even though that wedding was 10 minutes long and we took about 5 pictures, it was great. Anyways, that's all my finished objects, and we're already 20 minutes into this. Hopefully I can edit out basically half of that. I like to keep these episodes like under an hour. I really hate when they're like more than 50 minutes long, because I'm just like, how did I talk that long about all of this stuff? It's ridiculous. Okay, swiftly moving on. Let's talk about works in progress. I'm happy to announce I only have 2 works in progress because, you know, I'm casting things off, and that's just the best feeling ever. So, since I went on a trip, I started some travel knitting socks. This is my favorite travel knitting bag because I've shared it before. I make all my bags, and this one is just very squishy and gooey, and it's smaller, it's adorable, it has frogs on it, it's bright, it's noticeable, it's easy to find. Anyways, I started some travel knitting socks, and I just finished one today. It is not knit inside out. I knit this tube sock regularly, and then I turned it inside out and I knit the toe, and then I did an afterthought heel, and I really enjoy the way this coloring looks with the purl stitch as compared to the knit stitch, because I don't alternate skeins or anything. So on the knit side you get kind of boring pulling. It's still really pretty, but you get more of a stripy effect, and I like that on the purl side it's a little bit more muddled. So that is that. It's about crew length. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about the mistake I made. I used fairly large size needles for this, which I didn't quite realize. So that was kind of a bummer. And then, since I was apparently delusional this morning when I was making the toe, or not the toe, making the heel, I just like put the sock on with like this, because this one doesn't have the heel yet. So I just put this on my foot, and then I just added a pin for where I thought the heel should go, and then I just knit the heel. Rather than doing the smart thing and measuring where the heel should go, because that's what you should do, because the heel should really be like here. So these socks are a good, like, these will fit somebody who's like 9.5, maybe 10 foot, because there's a lot of stretch to it. So they're way too big for my feet. They're also like way too big of a circumference. So I'm happy to gift them to somebody once they're finished. Because as much as I would like to keep them, I don't really enjoy socks that fall off my feet. And I know even if I wash them, they're going to shrink up like a smidge, but I don't think they're going to shrink up enough. So, lesson learned, measure your foot and know your foot size before you make yourself some socks. Anyways, they're really fun to knit. I basically knit like a complete one of these on the airplane ride to and from Arizona. So that was really nice. And that was cool. Like, I had my travel knitting with me, so I got to knit like on top of a mountain and stuff. And knit in the Grand Canyon. I mean, how many knitters get to say they did that? Alright, moving on. Next finished object. Or no, next work in progress. I think I got to share a tiny bit of this on the last episode. But here it is. This is the Ripple Crop Top by Jessie Made. Or Jessica May, I think is her like full name, or her name on Instagram. And she is a knitwear designer that I love and appreciate. And I've always had her designs like kind of on the back burner. And then this summer rolled around and I just saw them cropping up everywhere on Instagram. And I was like, everyone who makes these looks so good in them, and I have to make one. So I was like, it doesn't matter. I was like, it doesn't matter what you look like. Like, this design just is so flattering for everyone. So without further ado, I cast one on, and I'm making pretty darn good progress. So I have my front section done, and I'm working on the back section. And I'm working with two colors, just because I want to use this yarn up. It's leftover from my Sunset Highway sweater. So it's fingering weight. It's merino wool. Oh, here I have it. BFL Light, and by Madeline Tosh yarn. Because I repeat, I have a lot of their yarn, and I'm going to use it up because I don't like to waste yarn at all. So I was using the colorway Wildlings, which is like a little bit lighter brown. And then this one, which is Fate. I don't know. Yeah, Fate. And it's this nice dark. So I started with the Wildlings, and then I kind of faded into the darker colorway. And then the sleeves will be pretty much all in the darker colorway. If I'm feeling frisky, maybe I'll work in the light like at the tip of the sleeves. So I'm really enjoying this project. It's been really like fun and interesting. I'm pretty sure it's gonna block out just fine. There's a lot of give, a lot of stretch, because when you're looking at it, you're like, this thing's small, how's this gonna fit me? So it should be good, and I'm like, I think it'll cover my boobies. We'll see. We'll find out. If not, as you can tell, I'm happy to knit something and then have it be the wrong size and then just give it away. I've done that repeatedly. Like, my one friend who's smaller than me, she has a lot of my stuff because I'm like, it just doesn't fit right. Here you go. You can have it. It'll look great on you. Okay. So that is all the projects, and I think that's pretty much all that I have to like visually show you that I'm working on, which is a great feeling. Because today is like my first like total day off in a really long time, which is weird to say because I've had a lot of time off, but it's been very busy doing other things. So I get to cast on a new project today, which is going to be really fun because I'm going to have to choose between something. And that will probably be, you guys like my postcard from the Grand Canyon? That'll probably be something like this linen, probably start using this linen for a tank top because I really want a tank top in it. That would be lovely. And I think that's just going to be kind of a mashup design unless there's a pattern that I can find that I really like. But I don't really have spare cash to spend on any pattern purchasing today. Well, we'll see. I think I have a pattern for it. I can't remember. I gotta look on Ravelry. I also might start the As If tee. I have lots of goodies and fun things to start. I even might cast on the Katie Green Bean pattern. I have the Green Bean zine is what she calls it, which is the coolest zine of all time. I mean, look at those. Look at those birds. I love this thing. This is so cool. I highly suggest you get it. I'm not going to show you anything. Like, you can go purchase this and support her because she's an incredible artist. But she has a sock design in here, which I'm very excited to do. They're called the Cockle Socks, and they have little shell design on them, and they're color work, and I think it's going to be really fun. So, I can also probably cast on those. Okay. I did want to talk a little bit about some acquisitions I have made. I don't really have very much of them with me right now, as some of them were given away and then some of them are packed away. I went to, as some of you guys know, there's a online yarn company called Knit Picks, which was like my first first step towards not just buying like mass-produced yarn, which was like at Michael's or Joann Fabrics or even Walmart. So I started branching out and learning about different fiber types and like what the best fiber was to use for certain things at a moderately decent price range. I absolutely love Knit Picks. I support their Wool of the Andes, which is just like fabulous, and it's pretty much the only yarn I purchase from them anymore. But here in Columbus, they had a massive warehouse sale, which I didn't know that they had a distributor here, but they do, as well as they have a distributor for their fabric company, whatever that's called. I don't know. I've never purchased fabric from them. And that does like fabric and embroidery and the sewing aspect. So that was very interesting to go to. I got there pretty late because I had to work all day. So I was there probably an hour or two before the warehouse sale was over. So as far as the pickings go, I don't think I had the best selection. Because everything I purchased, which in the end was about $100 worth of books, yarn. I think I got a set of needles. I might have put the needles back. I'm sorry, I can't remember what I really got there because some of it I purchased and I gave it to a friend because she wanted a book and she wanted some yarn. So I gifted that to her, and then I purchased like a full bag of their Tough Puff. That's not what it is. I could go get it, but I don't care enough. Because I'm still very bitter. Anyways, I went and I purchased everything. It was about $100 worth of items, and they lead you to believe that you're getting this great deal, and then, like the nerd I am, or I wouldn't even say nerd, like the dummy I am, I went online and I looked up all the prices to compare. And everything I purchased was the same exact price as you could get it for online. Especially considering that when you purchase $50 or more at Knit Picks, they give you free shipping. So had I purchased all of the stuff that I got online, it would have been roughly the same amount of money. Maybe not the books. The books might have added more because the books at this place were only $1. So that was definitely worth it for the books. And then there was like 2 or 3 skeins that I got for $1. But I was really disappointed. especially when that happened. So, and then I think one of the yarns might have been like priced wrong, because then, or like the tag might have been wrong, and then when I took it up to the front, it was more expensive than it was, like, I don't know, maybe the tags got mixed up or something, or the person didn't know and I didn't realize until later that I got it for a more expensive price. So, needless to say, I was very disappointed. I imagine if you go to one of these warehouse sales very, very early, and you're one of the first people to get there, I'm sure there's some awesome things that you can snag, because they did have yarns for sale. They just weren't, they had yarns on sale. They just weren't colors that I was interested in or fibers I wanted. So it was pretty disappointing. They did have some fabric, and this yellow fabric that I use for my tank top is actually from that sale. And it's all about, I think it's all cut by the yard, so each individual thing is like a yard or a yard and a half. So like I said, still kind of bitter about it. I've stashed away that yarn because I was very adamant about not purchasing any more yarn this year, and then I went there and I was like, oh, like this stuff is probably going to be cheap. And then, it's just me learning about how money works, how pricing works. So that was that little bit of story that I had to share. I think I would like to go again if they do it next year, because I think it's a yearly event. I would like to go with friends, and I would like to go with more of a goal in mind of what I want to purchase and not just be grabbing things willy-nilly. But if you have any experience with like doing a warehouse sale or going to a warehouse sale, like please share that with me, because I'd like to become more of a savvy purchaser and seeing if you can actually get deals at warehouse sales like that. That would be really nice. I did get a free cute little unicorn charm that I gave to my friend. Okay. So wow. We're doing really good here. I can wrap this up now because I shared everything that I've been working on. I can talk a little bit about my trip, I guess. I did share some of it. So like I said, I was in Arizona for 5 days in June. And I got to climb Humphreys Peak, which is the highest point in Arizona at over 12,000 feet, which was so cool. And it was really awesome because we thought we weren't going to be able to make it to the top because we were expecting it to get dark before we could reach it. But we were making really good time despite, the thin air and everything like that, because we're all from Ohio, the people that I was with, that, we were expecting to really be struggling, but we did okay and we made it. 3 out of the 4 of us made it to the top. We did have to leave someone behind at the saddle. He just wasn't feeling quite up to it. But we'll probably go back again and he'll be able to make it to the top. So, and he wasn't really missing too much other than just making it to the top. That's what we keep telling him anyways. Or so. Anyways, it was absolutely beautiful up there. It was stunning. It was such a good experience of learning how to endure and how to just make it through some things. For the most part, we all felt really good. I felt great going up. I always feel good going up. Coming down, on the other hand, is much harder for me. I just don't think my body is quite trained for that. My knees are pretty weak, so I suffer. I go a lot slower. I'm also a lot more cautious, just from, I would rather fall going up than going down. So it was still really fun. Probably one of the most beautiful and stunning hikes I've done in a really long time, especially once we came down to the bottom of the mountain. Was the most incredible view I've ever seen, with the sun setting and all these mountains. And anyway, then the next day we woke up at 4:30 in the morning. We drove 2 hours because we were in Flagstaff, where Humphreys Peak is, woke up, drove to the Grand Canyon, watched the sunrise over the canyon, which was, I can't describe it. I mean, you can say it's beautiful, you can say it's amazing, you can say it's incredible, but I mean, honestly, if you don't go there and get a little tear in your eye, then who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to think that you're better than the Grand Canyon, okay? Anyways, so we watched the sunrise, and then we got all of our gear together, and we bussed over to the South Kaibab Trail, hiked down the South Kaibab Trail, which took us about 4.5 hours, to Bright Angel Campground in the Colorado River, and we set up camp, hung out down there, got very, very lucky that a storm kind of blew over us, and so the temperatures down in the canyon, rather than being like 102, 105 degrees, were roughly like 85 to 90 degrees, so it was very pleasant compared to what it could have been. So it was also just really fun to like get to play in the creek and walk in the river. It helped that the water was really cold. So we ended up like wading in the river a lot because you could wade up pretty deep, and I think that helped like your muscles relax. It helped me a lot feel better. You know, we ate food, we wandered around, we hung out in the canteen a little bit. They had one of the park rangers was doing sort of an event, and she had like trivia and some games and stuff to play, which was so cool. And then you got to meet other people and other hikers down there, and just talk to people about the multiple ways you can get down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So we did it the hardest, where you carry all your gear and you hike down and you hike out. You know, some people river raft down the Colorado River and then hike up and out of the canyon. Some people have all their gear carried down by mules, and then they hike down, carrying only their essentials. Some people ride the mules all the way down and all the way up. I mean, there's just like so many options. So if you don't think you're able-bodied enough to carry all of your gear, you might be able to consider some other ways to get down there. But without training a lot, don't go. Be prepared. Absolutely 100% be prepared. If you are going to do any hiking in the Grand Canyon, if you do not have a water source, don't hike, because Lord Almighty, I mean, even if you're hiking at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, you need water. You know, I saw so many people who were unprepared, and I can get into that. Whew. So, yeah. Anyways, hanging out down there was really cool. Talking to the park ranger was fantastic, just to get to hear about her life and how it works, and how, you know, what her schedule is like and what it's like to be a park ranger. It was very inspirational for me. So I fell madly in love with the place. I think it was just such a unique experience to be down there. And I don't think it's something that everyone gets to experience in their life, obviously, and many, many visitors to the Grand Canyon don't get to go down there. So that was fabulous and really wonderful to go to. So then the next day we woke up pretty early again, about 4:30, packed everything up, and got on the trail, because you want to hike, since it was June, you want to hike as early as you possibly can. You want to miss that super hot heat. So we went up the Bright Angel Trail, which was was longer than the South Kaibab, but it's much less intense. I think it's about 14 miles. Could be wrong. I can't remember. I don't have the map with me. So it's about roughly that long, but it's pretty good. You have a great halfway point at Indian Gardens Campground. So that has, you know, restrooms and everything, and you can fill up your water, and we took a long break there. It's also nice because you have the creek for quite a ways along the trail, so you can dunk your headband, you can dunk your whole body, you can cool off. So that was really pleasant and fun. It's so funny because for me, the first couple hours, or like the first hour to 2 hours of hiking is just miserable. For some reason, my body is just like, no, we're not doing this. Like, everything hurts and you can't do it and you're tired and you're hungry and all that stuff. But once you take a couple breaks, I try to just eat and drink as much as possible. And then after that, it's just like easy going because it's all uphill. I know I'm crazy, but it's way easier for me to go up. So we made it in about 6.5 hours out of the canyon. I don't think I mentioned, there was about 6 of us on this trip. There was 6 of us on this trip. So we all made it out in pretty good time. At the end, I pushed through, and we kind of just decided for the last, I think it was the last mile, where we were just like, some people were just like, I have to go so slow. I was somebody who was like, I just got to get out of here. Mostly because I was hydrating a little too well, so I had to pee a lot. So I wasn't really able to wait because each bathroom, and you're only allowed to use the bathrooms. You can't really pee on the side of the trail because there isn't really anywhere to go. There's no privacy. Each one was about a mile apart, so I was booking it because I was like I said, a little overhydrated probably. So because even once I got to the top, I mean, it was a good, like, every 10 to 15 minutes, hey guys, I gotta go to the bathroom. So, but yeah, that hike, once you hit the 3-mile mark, and that's 3 miles down, so because Bright Angel Trailhead is one of the most popular, like, trailheads that you can get to that's available for anyone. And because they have their halfway houses, so you can hike down a mile and have a rest house and get water and go to the bathroom and all that stuff, and then hike down. So that's when you start seeing all the tourists, because by the time we're getting out of the canyon, it was roughly 12:30. And oh man, God bless everybody who works at the Grand Canyon for just dealing with the tourism, because there are so many people who don't know what they're doing, who hike down, and they'll hike down real far with small children, no water, bad shoes, bad clothes, and then you're like, okay, so it took you 45 minutes to hike down and get to maybe the first rest house or the next rest house or whatever it is. It's not going to take you that long to get out. It's going to take you like 2 to 3 times longer to hike up, especially in scorching heat without any water. So it was terrifying to see. Luckily, it's a populated enough trail, so if somebody does get hurt or is fatigued enough that they faint or pass out, there's enough people to help them, or to get help for them. So, and a lot of people are able-bodied, but it's tough because when there's people like us who have been hiking for a long time, we're extremely fatigued and tired. We're just trying to push through the hardest part to get to the top. And you have a lot of these people coming down the hill who just have no regard for you. They don't understand what condition you're in, and they just get in your way. So I think if there was anything to fix as far as that goes, like having the rules of the trail written out a little bit better would be great, so that if people knew that, hey, if there's hikers coming up, they have right of way, you need to move it or lose it. So because we were pretty frustrated, and we yelled at a couple people to just like get out of here. And it's hard because some people are foreign. You have a lot of foreign tourists, so they don't understand what you're saying. So that was difficult because you're so tired, your patience is really short. So we definitely were like a little short with some people. But it's tough because they will just shove you over, and you got a big pack on, and you could end up rolling down the Grand Canyon and slipping and falling, because it's not like the trail is super wide for 2 people. So that was one of the biggest frustrations. And then definitely having to wait in line at the top to go to the bathroom. That was like my biggest pet peeve. I was like, excuse me? You've been here for 15 minutes. I've been here for 2 days. Let me pee. So, that was a hoot. But the rest of the trip, fantastic. Those were my only complaints, was just the other people that you're surrounded with. Everything else goes very smoothly, and if you aren't a people person, I definitely suggest just go there as early as you possibly can. Enjoy it in the early light, or maybe, I don't know how the evenings are, I was never there quite long enough. So I imagine sunset is much more popular than sunrise, since most people are happy to stay up later. So I'd say get there as early as you can, enjoy it, and definitely don't stay in the Grand Canyon, or in the area surrounding the Grand Canyon. I highly suggest staying in Flagstaff, because that is a beautiful, gorgeous place. It's really nice to explore. There's lots to do there, a lot more hiking, and driving the hour and a half, 2 hours, or whatever it is to the Grand Canyon is not that big of a deal. So highly suggest. It was a fabulous trip. I don't have too much more to say about it. I think we'll wrap it up there. Well, I thought I was going to have a lot more to share, but I guess I don't really. So thank you so much for sitting down and joining me. I hope that your summer is just going really well. I hope that everything that you're knitting and you're making and you're crafting is also super fun and fabulous. I'm really terrible at ending these and just saying goodbye. So thank you again, and I will talk to you next time.